As Francis Joseph Haydn once said, young people can learn from my example that something can come from nothing. What I have become is the result of my hard efforts. This statement is who I best associate with my old band director from Monticello High School, Mrs. Allison Allender. She has gone through many hardships to be able to educate her students, equip them to play their instruments well, and engage them in their performances. Allender is the 5th grade and high school band director for Monticello and is one of the greatest reasons as to why I want to become a band director myself. Today I wish to discuss her as a person, as a band director, and as an inspiration to me and many other people. Allender displays great perseverance in the face of adversity. Be it windy or calm, rain or shine, Mrs. Allender expected and strived for greatness at different band competitions. My freshman year of high school, we had gone to the U of I competition expecting good weather and good days overall because the sun was clear and we all had very high spirits. Yet whenever we actually got on the field, there was 40-mile-per-hour winds going through the stadium, leaving us without any props. Even without these props, she still expected us to do great, and we performed as best as we could, one of the best performances of that season. We felt great about it. We may not have won that year, but we still felt very good about that season as a whole. My sophomore year was not much different. When we got to the competition my sophomore year, it was clear the entire day until right when we got to U of I, and then it started to downpour and it was really cold outside, leaving us to have to perform inside, which would drastically change how it sounded. Even then, Mrs. Allender knew that we could just as well achieve our best performance, in which this year we very much did, winning the Governor's Trophy, which for marching band is a massive accomplishment, especially at U of I. Mrs. Allender could also throw together a solution like Santa's elves on Christmas Eve. People may lose their music very often in band, and in most cases they may have extra sheets of paper lying around for people to use. However, sometimes when we're going to a competition, they may not have that music on hand. A good example is whenever my brother forgot his music on the bus ride to a competition, and with no other options, Mrs. Allender took her entire time, instead of preparing for the competition, to hand write my brother's music for him, which she managed to get done in time, allowing him to actually perform his music well. And not only with music, but also with the instruments that we play, she's done the same. She will spend large quantities of money, of her own money, to be able to buy instruments for our band that we may not actually have, that we need for this performance. Or, and this is actually the case for this year for their band, they actually needed some instruments that there was no easy way to buy them, so she handcrafted them, taking multiple days out of her week to make the instrument herself for the band to use. Mrs. Allender's perseverance taught me why never to give up in life. No matter whether it was the whole band that needed or an individual, she always stood by her students. Allender also displayed great care and attention to her students, helping to transport instruments and equipment. At competitions, she may move just simple sticks or mallets for the percussion, or she may even move the heaviest instruments like the chimes or the very large timpani set that for some people they just can't lift, but she's gone out of her way to help us move them. During competition, she will also help to move props at times, which can be really, really big, and it tends to be when we just don't have enough people, she will take her own time to help us move this all into the field. Mrs. Allender also will stand by her students whenever they're struggling in their own life. My senior year, we had one of my good friends had lost both of her parents to cancer a month apart from each other at the same time, basically. And this was right before a major performance for our band, about a week before, and Mrs. Allender took time to make sure that she was going to be okay, that she was going to be able to perform well, and made sure that she was going to be emotionally well enough to perform everything. She also made sure to do this just as a general everyday thing, and gave a safe space for people to go to during homeroom during high school if they may not have had a safe place at home to talk to her, or just talk to anybody. She made sure to make people feel safe and comforted. Mrs. Allender's care and attention to students taught me why it's important to be there for others, be it physical or emotional. She always stood by her students. Allender is also a great inspiration for me and students alike. Allender teaches like no other teacher and teaches more directly and ensures that no one is left out or left behind. She will ask students entire sections of the band, be it the trumpets, the flutes, percussion, individually what they feel like they need to be working on most. And while she does have the final call on what does get worked on, she makes sure to take an opinion from everybody so that she can know what everybody feels needs to be most worked on versus what she feels needs to be worked on overall. She also will be sure to make sure any kid feels like they're equally being involved. We had a kid my senior year join our band who had Down syndrome and struggled a bit more with some of the instruments, but she made sure to give him equal opportunities and make him feel exactly the same as everyone else. And it made him feel so much more loved and cared for in the band because he could play with the instruments with us. He could perform at the performances with no judgment or anything. Allender also made sure to put much feeling and emotion into her music conducting. Two of the main songs I can remember happened in the same concert my senior year, which is still to this day my favorite concert because of how much she put into it. One song was called Undertow, which had much more of what I would always call like a villain's backstory kind of song, and it just felt very strong. In her own words, she put it as Ursula stirring her potion of evil to cause chaos. In her own conducting, she made sure to really accentuate everything. And in that same concert, we had a song called One Life Beautiful, which was written by a conductor for a friend who had just lost their youngest child in a car accident. And that song still is one of my favorites just for how hard it hits you emotionally. And when she told us this story about what the song is for, it made us perform much more with emotion through it, to the point where we managed to get her to the point of almost crying during a performance for how much it moved her even in her playing it. Mrs. Allender's inspiring techniques taught me why being a music teacher is one of the best jobs I could have and why I really want to become one, to support and stand by my own students. It is for these reasons I dedicate this speech to Mrs. Allender, who inspired me to achieve some of the great goals in life as a band director and as a friend or inspiration to others in the band. After hearing all this, I hope to leave you with a quote from Stevie Wonder. Music, at its essence, is what gives us memories. And the longer a song has existed in our lives, the more memories it will leave us with. Mrs. Allender is the music that has given me great memories to me, and I hope that I nor any other students will forget what she has done for everybody at Monticello High School.